Please welcome our moderator for this morning, Ms. Julianne Ellis Bradley. Our judges. Our first judge this morning is Ms. Marissa Longsworth. Ms. Marissa Longsworth is the Vice President of Services, Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Attorney at Law. Ms. Longsworth was called to the bar in Jamaica in 2012 and in Belize in the year 2015. She is currently the in-house attorney for CIL, Global IP, an intellectual property management company, and is also a consulting attorney for the law firm of Glenn D. Godfrey and Company, LLP, both located in Belize City. She has a Master of Law degree in Internet Law and Policy and years of experience with intellectual property law, media, and broadcasting, including positions with the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office and the Gleaner Company, a large multimedia company in Kingston, Jamaica. Marissa has completed consultancies for the United Nations Body for Intellectual Property, the World Intellectual Property Organization, as well as for the government of Belize. Ms. Longsworth graduated from St. Catherine Academy and St. John's Junior College before pursuing her studies in law, beginning at the University of the West Indies. Ms. Longsworth proudly serves on the Executive Council of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry as its Vice President of Services. Through the BCCI, she also serves on the Internal Anti-Corruption Task Force and is the BCCI's alternate representative on the UNCAC committee. Please welcome Ms. Marissa Longsworth. Our second judge this morning is Mr. David Gibson. Mr. David Gibson is the founder and coordinator of the Center for Strategic Studies, Policy Analysis and Research, known as the CSSPAR, a registered virtual think tank which conducts public policy research, advocacy, and negotiation for governments, NGOs, and special clients. He holds a bachelor's degree in government and also obtained honors from the University of the West Indies, and also has a master's degree in developmental studies from the International Institute of Social Studies, The Hague, Netherlands. He joined the Belize Public Service in 1976 as an administrative officer and was appointed a permanent secretary in 1982, serving in a range of ministries. In 1991, he was appointed Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance. In 1993, he was assigned as Permanent Secretary, then as Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he served until 2003. These public management experiences have undergirded Mr. Gibson's belief that politicization of the public service prevents it from becoming the merit-based professional organization that is required for transparent and fair public service. In relation to the initiative for the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, Mr. Gibson, along with like-minded associates, participated in the development of a national integrity matrix for Belize, adopting a template used by Transparency International to assess the state of corruption prevention institutions want measures for their functional strengthening. The matrix was disseminated to support the strategic thinking and anti-corruption efforts of civil society organizations in Belize. Mr. Gibson is currently a member of the Board of Directors of the Friends for Conservation and Development FCD, where he concentrates on cross-board NGO collaboration for conflict prevention. Please welcome Mr. David Gibson. Our third judge for this morning is Mr. Ken Clare. Mr. Ken Clare is the current director of the Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, taking up this position on October 11, 2016, after retiring as Commissioner of Income Tax. The FIU is mandated to interdict financial crimes in Belize, in particular money laundering and terrorism financing. Such efforts are coordinated through the National Anti-Money Laundering Committee, also known as NAMLC, which is chaired by the FIU. The unit also provides technical resourcing to anti-corruption efforts and is a part of the project board that oversees the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, in Belize. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from the University of Belize and a Master's in Professional Accounting from Colorado State University. He is happily remarried and is the father of 3 boys. Please welcome Mr. Kent Clare. And our fourth and final judge this morning is Ms. Chanel Chanona. Ms. Janelle Chanona has served as the alternate representative of the Belize network of NGOs on the UNCAC project board since its inception. Janelle is also vice chair of the BNN via her role as Oceania's representative in Belize, a post she has held since January 2014. Oceania is the largest international ocean conservation and advocacy organization working to protect and restore the world's oceans through targeted science-based policy campaigns. As a recipient of the Chevenet Scholarship in 2000, Janelle holds a master's degree with distinction in investigative journalism from Nottingham Trent University in Nottingham, England. Upon her return to Belize, Janelle continued to work as a broadcast journalist, anchor and editor with a national broadcast company before establishing her own production firm. Her commitment to sustainable development and human interest issues earned her several international awards and recognition throughout her journalism career. Please welcome Ms. Janelle Chanona.
And now that the judges have been introduced, and if you notice that the stage is empty and we want to change that, and to lead the process of doing that, put your hands together in welcome as I turn the remainder of the proceedings over to the moderator, Ms. Julianne Ellis Bradley.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and at this time, we ask you to put your hands together as we welcome and invite the teams to join us on the platform. I will also be sharing with you the rules and the debate format for the debate this morning. Today, the debate teams are from, and you have heard, the Sand Creek Ecumenical Junior College and the Sacred Heart Junior College. I will take my seat as the moderator, and from there, I will ask that the teams also join me, and I will go through the debate format because I want to ensure that the teams are aware of the rules, and also for the benefit of the members of the audience, that you are also aware of the format and the rules as we will proceed this morning. Good morning. I see that everyone is ready, and I know sometimes this may be a little nerve-wracking, so let me start by introducing the teams, and the teams will get an opportunity to introduce themselves. Before we do the coin toss to determine which team takes the affirmative position and which team takes the negative position, I just want to repeat the resolution. Be it resolved that the only legally binding anti-corruption instrument in the world, UNCAC, will never be able to completely eradicate corruption. That is the resolution the teams will be debating. Today's debate will take on the following format. First, the teams, after the coin toss, one team will decide which team is the negative and which team is the affirmative. I must mention that before today, both teams have prepared to do either the affirmative or the negative, and they will be finding out this morning whether they will be presenting to you. So they are prepared to do both. So after the coin toss, the team that is successful in the coin toss will determine which position they will support. The affirmative side will introduce its team, and so each of them will get an opportunity to introduce the team members just before the debate starts. I will also be sharing with you that the judges, they have a grading scheme, and they will be looking for structure, how much there is understanding of the topic, research, voice projection, ability to persuade, and diction. Thank you. Are you hearing me a little better? Is this better? Is this better?
To do.
One moment.
A little technical.
There you go. I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything, but it seems to be working now. Thank you. Thank you. Is this better? So both teams will get an opportunity to introduce their team. And let me just start by indicating the judging criteria. The judges will be grading on the introduction. They will also be grading on structure, understanding the topic, and research that has been carried out, voice projection, ability to persuade, and diction. There will be no reliance on cues in terms of reading. The debaters are expected to speak. They can use notes and be assisted, but they're not allowed to read. And of course, we are looking for eye contact and closure. There will be a crossfire round that both teams will be able to ask questions. The teams will ask questions of the other team, and after the debate has completed, the audience will get an opportunity to ask questions for 15 minutes. At this time, I will ask that the teams introduce themselves. After the coin toss, I will ask a representative of each team to come forward for the coin toss. I will ask for the members of the team. On to my left, we have the members of the ecumenical. I'm not sure which one is working. Seems that it has just. On my right is the Sacred Heart Junior College. Please welcome them. now proceed with the coin toss. If I may ask a representative from each team. Heads has been selected by Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College, and the Sacred Heart Junior College has selected tails. Okay. Tails. Tails. Positives. So Sacred Heart Junior College has selected positive. They will be, so Sacred Heart Junior College, if the judges may know, will be the affirmative, and Ecumenical College Junior College will be the negative. The affirmative team has the responsibility to define and interpret the resolution, and the negative team argues against the affirmative position. At this time, I will invite the teams to introduce themselves. I will start with the affirmative team, and that is Sacred Heart Junior College.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, principals, lecturers, students, judges, and coaches. As well as good morning to our invigilator and our timekeepers, as well as any visiting dignitaries that may be present in the audience. My name is Alexis Naharo, and I am the team captain for the Sacred Heart Junior College debate team. I would like to kindly ask my colleagues and team members to please kindly stand for recognition when I call out their names. Emerling Rodriguez, Kenny Vasquez, Valine Hyde, Charles Trapp, Silas Sabal, and our lovely coaches, Miss Angelique Ayuso and Miss Lottie McCoy-Gill. It is with great pleasure that we, the SHJC team, greet you this morning. Today we present to you our case for the topic, be it resolved that the only legally binding instrument, the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, will never be able to completely eradicate corruption. We will mostly discuss the nepotism inherent in our system, as well as the way our country loses finance when no one is seemingly looking. We thank you for your attention, and we hope you gain something from this.
Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College.
A pleasant morning to the moderator, to judges, and the attentive audience. My name is Joshua Manzanero, and my team members are Leticia Bull and Kenrick Ramos. We are from Stan Creek Ecumenical Junior College, and we are here today to debate on the moot. Be it resolved that the only legally binding anti-corruption agency and legal binding anti-corruption instrument in the world, the UNCAC, will never be able to completely eradicate corruption. My team and I are in opposition of this position that the UNCAC will never be able to completely eradicate corruption. Some of the main points to be discussed today will be the UNCAC itself, what it is and how it is implemented, as well as international instruments used to measure corruption, such as the Corruption Perception Index, as well as the pressure today, these days, to combat corruption globally. We will show you that despite the challenges of completely eradicating corruption, that this noble cause is one that is necessary for our country. So, thank you.
Thank you to both teams, and I must point out that the arguments have not started. They were merely introducing their topic and the members of the team. You will see that on each team you have 3 persons. You have the first speaker, the second speaker, and a third member. The third member is the whip. The third member will be silent throughout the debate, and the third member will be taking notes and assisting the speakers with their presentations. The first team, there is a format in which we will proceed, and each segment will be timed. We have timers, and I will ask both teams to be very attentive to the cue. When you have 30 seconds to complete your presentation, you will hear the bell once. And when the 30 seconds has elapsed, you will hear the bell twice. You have to stop speaking when your time has elapsed. So the first bell is the 30-second warning, and when you hear the bell twice, that means your time is up. The affirmative side will present its first argument. After that, there will be a conferral period where they will have 2 minutes before the negative side presents its first argument. Response to, and the response should be directly to what has been presented before. So the affirmative side will speak first, there will be a conferral period, and then there will be a response. Then the negative side gets an opportunity to make its first argument. Then there will be a conferral period of 2 minutes, and there will be a response. We will then have the affirmative side presenting its second argument, followed by a short conferral period, and the negative side will then respond, and the negative side will then present its second argument. There will be a conferral period once more before the response on the affirmative side. There will then be an open debate, which we refer to as the crossfire round, and during that round, this is an opportunity for the affirmative side for questions to be asked. There's an open debate, and the 2 debaters will oppose each other during this segment. The negative debater is expected to ask questions rather than make speeches, and I want to remind the teams, the affirmative debater is expected to answer these questions, and it is not a time to make speeches or ask questions in return. In this section, the conferral period of 30 seconds before a formal response is given. So your teams, you only have 30 seconds during the crossfire round to confer before you give a formal response. The timers will begin to time when you begin speaking. The conferral periods are timed, and so you will also get the notification from the timer's bell when the time is up, and you're expected to begin speaking once the conferral period is up. You can begin speaking before the conferral period ends, and your time will begin for the response. Okay? There will then be closing arguments from both sides, and after those closing arguments, the judges will tally their scores, and while the tallying of the scores take place, the audience will get an opportunity to ask questions of both teams. That will be 15 minutes, and then the debate will come to an end, and the judges will have the hard task of selecting the winner of today's debate. The results will be announced at the end. So, teams, I know you have been prepared, and I know you are ready. We will begin with the affirmative side. So, Sacred Heart Junior College, you may now begin.
Good morning once again. Corruption is a rather complex issue. Time and again, for arguably more pressing matters, the issue of corruption in our country has been set aside to deal with said matters. It is a rather broad term, ranging from with just acts done by those in power that are illegal to illicit actions done by those, subverting the law. However, for the sake of, having everyone on the same page, I would like to present to you Kaufman and Vicente's 2005 assertion that corruption is dishonesty done by those placed in power, acts by said people to do illicit actions. Now, it's no secret that a massive wound in our country's infrastructure is when people are handed positions or contracts are granted to private companies owned by relatives or friends of politically positioned people. Arguably, the biggest issue we face is when these positions are handed over to people who lack the qualifications to perform in these jobs. While there's nothing wrong to give your supporters, politically speaking, these positions, it is wrong when they simply meet the qualifications. For example, there is Danini Contreras, who was appointed as the director of the Drug Inspectorate. Sorry? Okay. Who was appointed for Drug Inspectorate, lacking the 5 years experience, as well as Erwin Hernandez's development company, who siphoned millions of dollars away from our country. How can we expect for the UNCAC to get rid of corruption when it's so deeply ingrained in our system, and we will have to fight just to have the laws be given some notice every step of the way?
I'm sorry, but there was an error on the part of the timekeeper. He timed 2 minutes and not 5 minutes. Apologies to Sacred Heart Junior College. It means you have 3 minutes remaining.
My bad. Okay, so, sorry guys. So, I'll go back a bit. Back to the issue of Danini Contreras. What happened here is that not only is she related to Minister Erwin Contreras, she ended up marrying Minister Pablo Marin, which is a clear conflict of interest there. And while this may be one of many cases, we could be here all day discussing these examples. The truth of the matter is that we can step into a public service office and be countered with petty corruption issues where we must grease some palms in order to get something done. Our people suffer for it. Our infrastructure suffers for it. Even investors find themselves not wanting to do business with us because of this. And this is on a small scale. Imagine what happens when we want to pass a law that the UNCAC, says that we have to pass, that would greatly inhibit their abilities to do business illegally. They would be fought every single step of the way, and even more positions will be handed to the right people in order for them to continue doing these actions. Same thing goes for the public contractors. A major downside of the UNCAC's mandatory provisions is that it does not account for private entities, which is a lot of these contractors are. They are, of course, friends of these politicians, but due to the fact that they never really hold any power officially, they all of a sudden gain these contracts and nothing is done. Back again to the Emir Hernandez's development company. They have been paid hundreds of millions of dollars to fix roads. And if you go to these roads, they are some of the worst that we have. And that says a lot. So once again, I tell you, how can we expect the UNCAC to come in and help us fix corruption when it is so deeply ingrained in our political infrastructure that we jokingly say that, we even have it jokingly say that we put in someone else there and they'll just do the same thing. We must fix what we expect ourselves of our political entities before we can ask for assistance from international entities. Thank you.
There will now be a 2-minute conferral period. Okay. Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College will now get an opportunity to respond directly to the affirmative side's argument. You're reminded this is not introducing anything new, but is to respond directly to the arguments raised by Sacred Heart Junior College.
Our opponents mentioned that we should fix ourselves before we can ask for international aid, but the entire purpose of the UNCAC is to aid in helping us fix ourselves. That, in fact, the review mechanism, they come and assist people and make a report on our progress, and then based on our progress, the country in question will be held accountable depending on the level of progress that they had shown. By signing and notifying, the UNCAC, the country itself holds itself accountable by putting itself and holding itself accountable. Therefore, it has an obligation to follow through on the laws made by the UNCAC. And the people themselves will also be able to hold the country, the government accountable. That's why they have civil society organizations such as COLA, who work with the people to make the governments be accountable. Thank you.
Okay. The negative side will get an opportunity to present its first argument in support of its position. It has 5 minutes to do so.
As I mentioned, the UNCAC is a treaty signed by the United Nations General Assembly in 2003 of October. Once a country signs and ratifies, it is obligated to follow through with the laws that the UNCAC makes. While 96% of the General Assembly is signed onto the UNCAC, that is 96%, that is baby steps, not baby steps, that is a big step. They say that, baby steps make the thing. Corruption is a wide problem, and we acknowledge that, but the UNCAC is legally binding. There are 168 countries of the 96% that are part of this landmark corruption. Should also be noted that the UNCAC aim is not to completely eradicate corruption, but rather to assist and promote and facilitate measures to decrease corruption. So let us not mislead the people by putting these outrageous demands on such a noble cause. Thank you.
Sacred Heart Junior College, you now have 2 minutes for a conferral period, and then you will be able to respond. You may proceed to respond. You have 3 minutes.
Our colleague mentioned several things that are alarming. First of all, to say that it won't completely eradicate corruption is conceding against the fact that we're arguing that it should completely eradicate corruption. So it's either everything or nothing. We cannot be left with this half-baked act that sometimes will work or sometimes will not work. It has to be all-inclusive. It should eradicate corruption completely, or not, we're better off as we are. With our own domestic laws that combat corruption, we have the Freedom of Information laws and ombudsman that will aid us in that cause. So therefore, we do not need UNCAC if you're conceding that it would not completely eradicate corruption. Second of all, a lot of it is based on the people. Yes, I concede, but what if people are benefiting from corruption? Will they be motivated to fight it? Will they be, us as a country, be motivated to ratify the UNCAC if we are benefiting from corruption, and which I like to see for a fact that that is found in every government forum. There are allegations of corruption. We would have to be blind not to see it. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Sacred Heart Junior College. I just want to point out to both teams at this time that any presentation or content in your presentation must be supported by research, and also where you cite anything, you should also be able to provide, if requested by the judges or the other team, the source of your information. And so we want to just caution you to ensure that as you debate, you ensure that any claims made or so are things that you can support by way of data or documentation. We will now have the affirmative side, which will present its second argument in support of its position. And the theme, be it resolved that the only legally binding anti-corruption instrument in the world will never be able to completely eradicate corruption. So we now have the presentation of the second argument by the affirmative side.
As my colleague mentioned, corruption is already deeply entrenched within all government forums. And the UNCAC will make an effort to combat it, but it is certainly not without flaw. As I mentioned, if it's left to the public to identify, document, and combat corruption in their own, who knows if they are motivated to do so? Who knows how much footing and momentum this will gain if it's left only to the people? To say the least, we lack expertise, we lack vision, and the basic know-how. So we call that without an independent judiciary established by the UNCAC will never be able to accomplish what it set out to accomplish. If government is responsible for hiring judiciaries, appointing judiciaries, who is to say that it is not well extended into these government ministries? And a good criminal will cover its footsteps. Corruption will be hard to identify, will be hard to maintain charges. But the gist of it is that we are guided by an independent judiciary that will come alongside the people and help it to strengthen this. And without that clearly established, obviously there will be no achievement in this aspect. So placing hope that once we sign this and magically corruption will go away, it's nonsensical. Doesn't make sense. The international community must ensure that countries not only sign and leave them out to fend for themselves, but that they establish that independent judiciary to help the countries fight corruption. Or not, the UNCAC will never be able to work and will never be accomplish what it is ambitious to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the negative side will get an opportunity. Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College, you have 2 minutes to confer. at 2 minutes. You have 30 seconds more to complete your conferral. Time has elapsed. The response now from Stan Creek Ecumenical Junior College. You have 3 minutes.
Like what my worthy opponent mentioned earlier, he said, yes, indeed, many of our countries are embedded and entrenched in corruption. Yes, we are comfortable with the corruption because most, or I would say the high officials benefit the most from it. But Rome wasn't built in one day. And this is the purpose of the UNCAC Treaty. This is the purpose. This is the reason why many countries had signed and ratified, because of the fact that we know that the corruption exists within our systems and in our public sectors. Yes, indeed, that's a true fact. But the fact that we have signed and ratified means that we have signed on a legally binding instrument, anti-corruption instrument, and that therefore gives or is a fact that anything that goes beyond or is contrary to our obligation will result in a matter of someone being penalized, someone will be held accountable for the actions. And I rest my case.
Okay. The second argument will now be presented, and Ecumenical College, Junior College, you now have 5 minutes to present your second argument in support of your position.
The UNCAC is just a document. A document, some may believe, with words and ideas. It cannot uphold itself. It has no power to remove or eradicate corruption. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the country and the state parties to uphold and ensure that the policies are being carried through. The fact that we have signed a legally binding anti-corruption instrument basically states that we have a chance, likely, like some of the other countries that have been or that have implemented this convention successfully within their states. Look at countries such as Somalia, Syria, North Korea. They are countries who have not signed and ratified the convention, and therefore they are, would say, deeply corrupted. Look at countries successful in implementation, such as Germany, Canada. These countries, we would say, for lack of a better term, corruption-free, because they have successfully upheld the policies of the UNCAC. Judging from the information gathered from the CPI, Corruption Perception Index, we have come to find out that majority of the countries who are state parties of the UN are those who are doing well enough in their countries, and they are the ones who rank lowest on the ranking scale from 0 to 100. So I state again that it is not the responsibility of, or it is not that the UNCAC will just come and eradicate and all of a sudden all the corruption will just vanish. No. It is the responsibility of the state to uphold and see and ensure that the policies are upheld by the state. And I rest my case.
Okay. Sacred Heart Junior College, you now have 2 minutes to confer. You have 30 seconds.
I would, as my colleague said, I would do like to concede that his statements are true. However, in regards to the countries that are corrupt, but they do not have the UNCAC going for them. To this, however, I reply that he stated Syria, North Korea as his examples, but I would like to point out that Syria has been going on with civil unrest for a very long time, while North Korea has its struggles with a dictatorship, which both of these instances, I would like to argue, are out of the scope of the UNCAC Convention. They simply do not cover this. Now, the point here that he also brought up is that while it's true, the UNCAC will not uphold the laws for us, that it is us that have to do it, I argue this with you. We only signed a UNCAC after our government had been massively pressured. And that's just to appease us, for us to stop. And the moment they signed it for us, where are the other, pressure from our people and the rest of the governmental bodies to continue on with the laws that they must put on? And therefore, I bring it back to this. We as a people need to move on from this culture that corruption is okay, that so long as they pay us for our votes, that we will vote for them. The UNCAC, while yes, their intentions are good, and again, I concede it may help us with the training and the provisions that they will bring into our country. It is something that we ourselves must desire to bring forth. And for as long as the oldest of us can remember, corruption has always been here. And while true, there are people who want to remove corruption, where are the movements that actually do something? Without the lack of massive pressure and massive upheaval. First, we must work on ourselves before we accept help from other people. Because if we accept help from these other people and we do not use it effectively, we will rank even lower on this list of corrupt countries. Thank you.
Okay, that ends the formal presentations for the affirmative and the negative. And now we will have the open debate crossfire round. And just to remind you, that during this crossfire round, this is where the debate teams will oppose each other. The negative, which is, of course, Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College, is expected to ask questions. Remember, it's not to make speeches. Also, the affirmative, Sacred Heart Junior College is expected to answer these questions, not to make speeches. So this crossfire round is going to last for 10 minutes. And I now ask that the debaters from Stand Creek Ecumenical Junior College begin the round.
I would like to ask my opponents if they are aware of what is the CPI, the Corruption Perceptions Index.
We are very aware of it, and we would also like to respond to that, saying in 2003 to 2008, we realized our worst ranking, 46 out of 100. And this is by the same administration we have today. So we've signed to UNCAC. There's no visible progression being made.
Yes? Is there another question?
Could you please inform us of Belize's ranking on the CPI 2018?
2003, we made our statement that in 2003 to 2008, we ranked 46 out of 100. And my argument is that that was not long ago and under the same administration.
Okay. Can the question be repeated? I am not sure that was the question which was asked. Stand
Okay.
Creek Ecumenical Junior College.
2018. Okay.
Yes, I believe the question was 2018.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can we have the question to that in terms of 2018? Mhm. You only have 30 seconds to confer in the crossfire round.
We do not have the current one. We just have that one which we use for our arguments.
Well, then we would be pleased to inform you that after speaking with Miss Sylvia,
You do recall Sand Creek Ecumenical Junior College that you asked the question and you're not permitted to make speeches during this crossfire round.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
So the question has been answered. Is there another question?
Can you give us the reason that Belize is not included in the Corruption Perception Index for 2018?
Okay, the conferral period is up. We'll need the response from Sacred Heart Junior College. I believe the question was, why was Belize not included in the 2018 Corruption Perception Index?
The corruption index ranking that we have from the source that we retrieved it from says that 46 was the latest update that it had. We have the sources to prove it, as why it was not on 2018, it did not state so.
May we inquire of the timer how much time we have remaining in this round?
5 minutes and 30 seconds.
We have 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Do we have another question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, there are no more questions in the crossfire round. And so at this point, the judges then have the opportunity to listen to the closing statements. The closing statements will be 3 minutes. And of course, this is an opportunity for both sides to pull together the various threads of their case in favor or against the proposition. We will start with the affirmative side. Sacred Heart Junior College, you now have 3 minutes to present your closing arguments.
In conclusion, corruption is far too entrenched in our society. I would even say in our culture. Its roots extend way beyond what is remissible and amendable. We would have to do away with our entire government, all the candidates, because we have so many cases, we have so many evidence reported daily on how corrupt these people are and how evident it is that I am appalled. So we call for an independent body, and the only way we see UNCAC working is if an independent body, an independent judiciary is established by the international community. If this is left up to the country and the government and the people, we all know how politics is polarized here in Belize. It's either red, blue, or whatsoever color else. So we call that in hopes that, of course, we want to do away with corruption. And of course, this might help. But there must be more done by the international community for it to be eradicated, completely eradicated, I must stress. And we see the UNCAC lacking in many aspects. With this, I conclude.
Thank you, Sacred Heart Junior College. Stan Creek Ecumenical Junior College, you now have 3 minutes to make your closing arguments.
All right, after disagreeing completely with the fact that UNCAC could never be able to completely eradicate corruption, we have argued that UNCAC being a legally binding instrument and its obligations where it has actions and measures taken for the states that had signed and ratified this instrument. I will speak again reiterating the fact that it is just a document and it cannot uphold itself, therefore it's our responsibility. I speak of the strength of the UNCAC and its implementations and its mechanisms established to uphold policies to eradicate corruption. The UNCAC doesn't imply to completely eradicate, but to promote strength, which will then achieve to minimize corruption. We have supported our arguments with facts from the Corruption Perception Index, the Global Corruption Barometer, Transparency International, and our survey which we have done with our local Belizeans. And it is clear to state that certainly the UNCAC is a strength to our nation, and it will help to the capacity of the nations in fighting and addressing corruption. Thank you.
Okay. That now brings us to the end. The audience may applaud both teams. And at this point, while the judges tabulate their scores, The audience is now invited to pose questions, and the questions may be posed to either team. I am going to ask you when you stand to pose your question to the team that you make it clear which team or if the question should be answered by both teams. I'm going to ask the members of the audience and the judges. At this time, it will be the audience members. The judges may ask questions, and the questions that are asked, I will ask the persons asking to refrain from making speeches as well and to directly ask the questions. You can ask the same question to both teams, and there will be a 15-minute time period allocated for this round. I now open the floor and invite questions from the audience or the judges. If you can just stand and indicate which team you would like to pose a question to.
Yes, I would like to address the question to both teams. What role, if any, do you see the students of our country playing in this fight against corruption?
Thank you. The question is, what role, if any, do you see the students of our nation playing in this fight?
Do we have to respond from our affirmative standpoint or personal?
You are, at this point, you can respond freely to the question, and it would be good for you to also remain as it relates to your positions taken throughout the debate. Would you like to go first?
Well, students are in the process of education. We are educating ourselves on the problems that are present today, and that we, students, are the future. We will go on to be future politicians, future workers, future members of society. That our role is to educate ourselves and to make a better future for ourselves, to go with the knowledge that we acquire now and to utilize that knowledge to aid our country in the future.
Sacred Heart Junior College?
In light of my position, I would say students are definitely to participate in more forums like these. Honestly speaking, I can see where where UNCAC is shortcoming, where it lacks. As I stated, I would like to see an independent judiciary. It's something that even I would say without reservations, without personal reservations, that there must, of course, be more insight, more regulations, more information be made open to the public. I don't think any institution can say they made a completely flawless act or a completely flawless law. There's always loopholes, and by us engaging in this thing, we see that there may be some areas that can be strengthened for it to completely eradicate corruption.
Okay. Thank you for your response, and thank you to Senator Mark Lizarraga for the question. Are there any other questions, and can you identify yourself before asking the question? Thank you.
Hi, my name is William Security. I'm a journalist for both the reporting newspaper and Subtitle Sun. And my question to you is this: do you believe it is possible for technology to help us eliminate corruption? Or government is presently in the process of implementing a system whereby revenue for a number of services is collected through a process that you go and make a deposit at the bank, similar to where you might pay for you say you go and make a payment at the bank, and then you use the code from that deposit when you submit your visa application. A similar process is being implemented by government employees for all sorts of revenue collection. It started with the licensing for vehicles and whatnot, which is extended to all sorts of other permits and land acquisition, leases, everything else will be under the system of using technology and I hope the right process to collect revenue. Do you see that will help in any way in eliminating corruption?
Okay, thank you for the question. If I may just repeat, and is the question posed to both teams?
Yes,
Very well.
both sides only to them.
Very well, thank you. The question is, do you believe it is possible for technology to help eradicate corruption? And I will ask Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College, to go first in their response.
We believe that yes, it will aid because of technology's propensity to leaving accountability. Every propensity having multiple backups and multiple ways to keep track of transactions, etc. So it will aid majorly in limiting corruption if everything can be tracked and everyone can be held accountable for their actions that they use.
Thank you. Sacred Heart Junior College.
Yes, we do believe that with the advent of technology and in the integration of such technology in the way we do run our government, it will be a lot easier to catch corrupt acts. As we move away from pen and paper filing, artificial intelligences will be able to keep track of discrepancies in place in any monetary transactions, any public records, and we would be able to know of it a lot faster, if practically instantly at this point. As we slowly move on into this direction, and if we were to place control and the notifications of such indiscrepancies in the hands of the independent judiciary that my colleague says he believes in, it would be a lot easier for us to keep track of suspect individuals and suspect activities and clamp down on it before it gets any chance to truly fester in the system. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Is there another question? I will invite the question and I will remind the teams that you do have 30 seconds. So if you need to confer before you answer the question, you're able to do so, and the timer will let you know when the 30 seconds have elapsed. I see a question and a hand for a question.
Given your research, the knowledge you've gained, and your experiences and observations, what do you think has inhibited or restricted or prevented our youth from becoming advocates against corruption in Belize? And how do you think these can be overcome, these obstacles to your participation?
May I ask you to repeat the question?
Basically, the question is, what has inhibited our youth from becoming more active and involved in anti-corruption advocacy, and how do you see these obstacles can be overcome?
Thank you. Teams, you have 30 seconds to confer. I'll just repeat. What do you think has restricted or prevented the youth from becoming more actively involved in anti-corruption and in anti-corruption advocacy, and how do you think these obstacles can be overcome? Correct? I'll ask Sacred Heart Junior College to respond first.
Hi, thank you. So we believe that it's going to start from us adults here in this present. Everyone here, all the adults that know what's going on. As children, I was one, as I'm sure most of you were at one point. We look at the adults around you, and some of you probably were heroes to some child at one point, and they look at your actions. They look at all of our actions. So if us as adults were to start, maybe not let go completely of our beliefs, but to give them the chance to, form their own, to show them to step away from this sports-like mentality that we have about our politic teams. I'm red, I'm blue, stuff like that, and educate them on the decisions that they must make. Make it, interactive for them, something that they would want to be eager to take part in the future. It would go a long way for our youths to not only know what decisions they would want to partake in the future, but be eager to help our country step out of this cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Sand Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College.
Similarly, what my colleague mentioned just a while ago, I would like to stay on basis in terms of our position, but then it is unlikely for me to not mention that there is certainly a fear within our youths, and I would also say a majority of our population due to victimization. On the other hand, being more optimistic, I would say that if our youths would be more educated and the information is being disseminated in such a way that it gives and brings pride to our youths, it would more likely to develop a sense of well-being and a sense that may make everyone and the youths more comfortable and wish to see the betterment of the nation.
Thank you. I believe we may have time for a final question or two, depending on the question. A question from our judges?
Yes.
Ms. Longsworth? I'll take Ms. Longsworth's question, and then I'll take another question from the floor.
Okay, thank you. I had a question per team. I don't know if I can issue for one per team. For Sacred Heart, I noticed that in your arguments, you mainly postulated the need for an independent judiciary, seemingly external independent judiciary. Can you explain a little bit more the concept of that independent judiciary that you are suggesting? Should I also give the other question, Julie?
We'll have Sacred Heart respond, and then we'll take the question for
as it is, the UNCAC, what it does is it establishes the domestic laws. It brings the domestic laws up to par with their international standards. In my line of thought, if there was a corruption charge, it will be tried in our court system within our own laws, using our own laws. What we are calling for is that international laws be established and be brought in, and an international body be responsible for monitoring these charges, because who's to say corruption does not extend into our judiciary.
Thank you. And for
the question now for Sand Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College.
Right. So the basis of your arguments were really around full eradication of corruption as per the topic that has been given. From your research, how can you name some of the bodies and the areas of society that are required under the UNCAC to get involved as a part of implementation?
In the UNCAC convention, it specifically states that the bodies that should be involved is the people who are in legislative, administrative, and judicial offices, as well as any public officer or private individual or firm who is under contract to the government party.
Thank you for your response. I will now ask, we have just under 2 minutes remaining for the end of this segment.
Okay, my question is addressed to both teams, and it is simply this. It's been barely a year since we have signed on to UNCAC, and the Attorney General has been the point man who has been participating in meetings internationally regarding our
participating in this UNCAC and complying with its conditions and establishing an office in Belize to monitor and eliminate corruption. Do you believe, both of you, I want to hear from you, do you believe the present government is sincere in its efforts to meet its commitments under UNCAC and to eliminate corruption where it finds it since we signed on? So don't say to me examples from before we were signed on, but since we have signed on, do you believe that they have been making sincere strides to eliminate corruption? And give me specific examples, either for or against, whichever way you present your opinion. Give me an example to support your opinion of yes or no, why you believe it. Thank you.
Before the teams have 30 seconds to confer, you do recall that your positions regarding the resolution that has been put, and so you have 30 seconds to confer, and you will be allowed to respond. We also remind you, in terms of, as was said earlier, whatever statements you make, you must be able to back up with information or research. The 15 minutes has elapsed. I will just ask you for quick responses as it relates to the question. Do you think there has been sincere effort since the implementation of UNCAC on the part of the government? Sorry, the time has elapsed. May we have a response from Ecumenical College, Junior College?
Well, we believe that the Attorney General have made effort in the implementation due to the fact that he allowed, or they agreed to sign on to the document itself, to sign and ratify it. So that alone is a shown, or is a sign of confidence in the mechanism established to end corruption.
Thank you. Stand Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College. Sacred Heart, Junior College.
While we have no current case, the gentleman stated he would not like any previous evidence, but we cannot ignore previous evidence that the Belize Chamber of Commerce had to make statements saying that the Attorney General is backlogging in this process. The BNTU had to make it one of its points for this to be signed. And with that said, means that he's not comfortable, or he's not wanting to ratify UNCAC, knowing that corruption is far extended into his ministry and into the government.
Okay. That is the end of this segment of the debate, and with that, that brings to a conclusion the debate. I ask the members of the audience to give a round of applause to both teams. I just want to remind you before we move into the results and the final parts of this debate that the judges have specific criteria that they were looking for. They were looking for structure, introduction, understanding of the topic, research, and also the ability to persuade, diction, eye contact, closure, and of course understanding of the questions and the ability to answer the question on topic. Confidence, persuasion, and teamwork were also matters which the judges were taking into account. The use of quotes and research as well. And so I want to thank both teams and the members of both schools that worked together in preparing the teams for this debate. That brings us to the end of the debate. Both teams, you may exit the stage at this moment. I just want to ask you to have both teams shake hands. as we conclude this segment of the debate.
Thank you once again to the participants and all who made this morning's debate competition what it is today. At this time, I want to call on Mr. Aldo Garcia, and he'll be assisted by Isabel Lanza. They have presentations to make at this time. So a round of applause for these two personnel as they come forward to the microphone. At this time, the organizers will be doing a presentation. I will ask the members from Sacred Heart Junior College to come forward, and you will be presented with a small token of appreciation. So let's give a round of applause for the participants of Sacred Heart Junior College. The first one for Valine Hyde. Alexis Naharo. Emerling Rodriguez. Silas Sabal. Charles Trapp. Kenny Vasquez. And now I will call on the members for Ecumenical College Junior College to come forward. Horace Avila Jr. Leticia Bull. Tiana Coleman. Nigel Eligio. Joshua Manzanero. Kenrick Ramos. Okay. The moderator, Julianne Ellis Bradley. And the judges will begin with judge number 1. A second judge, judge number 2. Judge number 3. And now we call on the coaches for the respective teams, beginning with the coaches for Sacred Heart Junior College. The other coach. All right, you can take the others too. And now the coaches for Stanton Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Garcia. Thank you very much. Let's give everybody a round of applause. And now one of the organizers, I call to the microphone for some brief words. Put your hands together for Roxanne Aleman Richards.
Pleasant good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I stand here today with the opportunity to express a warm, sincere, and heartfelt thank you to all who have made this debate a reality and success. We could not have done it without you. We thank you for your participation, your support, and for everyone who is present here today, and for those who have worked from behind the scenes as well. A special thank you to our donors, Carson Small Grants, U.S. Embassy, especially our grants officer, Ms. Christine Valerio, to our resident representative of UNDP, Mr. Aldo Garcia, for his unconditional support. Both debate teams, Sacred Heart Junior College and Ecumenical Junior College, for their acceptance to participate during their summer vacation and giving of their personal time, and to their coaches for their motivation, support, and guidance over the last few weeks. This speaks a lot of your commitment in wanting to see corruption reduce in Belize. We thank you. To our moderator, Mrs. Julianne, you did a phenomenal job. Thank you. To our wonderful judges, Mr. David Gibson, Mr. Kent Clare, Ms. Janelle Chanona, and Ms. Marissa Langsworth. To our tabulators, Ms. Marcy Jones and Ms. Karen Samuels. To our timekeepers, Mr. Roberto Ramirez and Mr. Giovanni Guerra. Our research verifier, Ms. Brianne Coleman. And to Ms. Isabel Lanza for the introduction of the moderator and judges and distribution of gifts. To the students from the University of Belize for filling the various positions for this event without hesitation. To our Master of Ceremony, Mr. Patrick Jones. To United Evergreen Primary School and OLAG for attending. And to you, our audience, for being here today to support our youth and our UNCAC project to continue to build awareness on anti-corruption. Last, but definitely not the least, the person who made this all a reality and the driving force behind what we see here today, our debate coordinator, Mrs. Gail Ozaeta, who took up this challenge and wholeheartedly has done an exceptional job. Thank you, Mrs. Gail. Once again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making this event today a success. And remember that we all have a part to play in reducing corruption. So let's do our part, because together we can. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a safe travel back.
Thank you very much. And now all that's left to do is to announce who are the winners. Who do you think is the winner? Sacred Heart College, Junior College? That does sound convincing. Or do you think it was Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College? Let's try that again. Who won today? Sacred Heart Junior College? Yes. Or Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College? Yes. I think you're tied, right? Should you go another round to see if we can break the tie? All right, the tabulators are getting everything together, and then I will be making the announcement. And judging from what I see standing to the back, I think the winners, start practicing your smile. The media will want to interview you, so start practicing from now. And for the primary school students in here, I take it that your social studies teacher will quiz you when you get back to classes on what you heard and what you learned today. So I hope you took notes, and I never just only break from the classroom, right? I see one young lady with a notebook, so she ain't prepared, right? So on the walk back to the classroom, I'm gonna hang out with she, right? Because she got a notebook. And we hope that other junior colleges will come forward and take on this topic, because corruption not going nowhere anytime soon, but this is a start in addressing it, right? One of the other things that I don't think anybody mentioned it, and I was trying not to mention it myself because I don't want to cloud anything about what happened today, but I noticed absent from here today was the Attorney General's ministry. I don't know if there's a covert representative in the audience, but I didn't see a representative from the Attorney General's ministry here. And there was representation from all the others, so I don't know. I think that representative could have tried to answer when the gentleman asked what is the Attorney General or what is the government doing to make good on signing off on the UNCAC instruments, right? So, but unfortunately, we didn't get that response here this morning. All right, those tabulators are hard at work, making sure that all the points are added correctly. And I take it they are public officers, so they are from the government service, and so they have to make sure that everything comes out correct. While we wait for the finalization of the scores and determination of the winners, the organizers will present the certificates of participation. Those will be awarded now, and as your name is called, come forward and receive from Mr. Aldo. First up is Kenrick Ramos. Nigel Eligio. Tiana Coleman. Joshua Manzanero. Horace Avila Jr. Leticia Bull. Charles Trapp. Kenny Vasquez. Silas Sabal. Alexis Naharo. Valine Hyde. Emerling Rodriguez. Ifasina Efoniemi. Teresi Lino. Angelique Ayuso. Lottie Gill. Let's give everybody a round of applause once again. Thank you for your participation. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Aldo. We're one step closer to declaring a winner. Anybody in the audience want to come sing a song?
I see the crystal raindrops fall and the beauty of it all. When the sun comes shining through, it makes those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky, just the two of us, you and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water all it is, and it don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, not for those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building them castles in the sky, just the two of us. You and I.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience and thank you for holding on with us. The results are in. And because we're dealing with the issue of corruption and to make sure that there was no corruption here today, the auditors, Marcy Jones and Karen Samuels, they are government workers, they are public officers. Please give them a round of applause. They have tabulated the scores and they have signed off on it as well. I am told that a copy of this will be presented to both teams. And so at this time, it gives me great pleasure to announce the winners, or the winner. see, we have to make sure that there's no corruption, right? So I want to call on Mr. Aldo Garcia and Miss Julianne, sorry, Ellis Bradley. You both stand right to the middle there, and they'll be handing out the prizes. So get ready with your applauses. Anybody with a drum roll? I can't make the noise. Leave it longer, drum roll. The runner-up. The runner-up. You all are good drummers. We should engage you for November 19th. Put your hands together for the runner-ups. Stan Creek Ecumenical Junior College. And the winner this afternoon, Sacred Heart Junior College. I want to call on Stan Creek Ecumenical College, Junior College. Please come forward to receive your prize. Come, team. The medals and the awards will be presented by Aldo and Julianne. All right, let's hear another round of applause for EJC. And now the coaches. Please come, coaches. Come join your team. Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Creek Ecumenical Junior College. A round of applause. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's give it up for Sacred Heart Junior College. And we invite the coaches to come join your team. And there you have it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sacred Heart Junior College, JC, the winner of this debate competition. That concludes our proceeding for today. Thank you all for attending. Have a good Friday and enjoy your weekend, everybody.